Hello, my name is Jim Bowden, and welcome to the Uncertainty Center. This is the third of three videos that I'm putting together, all of them Quincunx programs, and this is the last of the three. This one is for the Quincunx Pro, and what I'm going to do is go through and show you the buttons and things that the Quincunx Pro does that the instructor Quincunx doesn't do. So let's get going. I'll try to make it as simple as possible here. We start out, we have a key up here. This is a multi-drop key, and I'll show you what this does. If I run it, right now it's running the same as the instructor's Quincunx. The slider is going back and forth, and it's running continuous, and you have multiple balls in motion. When I press the key and take it off the default position, it drops one ball at a time. It waits till the ball gets at the bottom until it drops the next ball. The normal method is to run with it activated, where the slider goes back and forth continuously. But when you're in an auto adjust mode or trying to do adjustments, you'll find that you'll need to go to something where it drops one ball at a time. And we'll do a reset. Okay, let's start the machine back up, get it running, and over here on the left side at the top there's a pause button, and when I click on that, it stops the action instantly. And I can continue the action by pressing on the single step key here, and it goes in slow motion. It allows you to move the action one step at a time. Then when you click the pause button off, it continues on. That comes in handy when you're doing an auto adjust or going in any adjust mode. It comes in handy. So let's go on. We'll move down the screen. There's a draw option here. If I click on that, let me pull that in. It gives me the ability to draw on the screen, and this was mainly to just highlight what's going on. I thought it would be a good idea. You can circle it, draw arrows depending on how good you draw, and point at things and stuff like that. After using it a while, I'm not sure it even needs to be in there, but it's in there now. If you get the program and you find it useful, let me know. If I don't get any comments, I may end up deleting it out of here. Let's clear the machine out and move on to limits. In the Galton board and on the instructor's Quincunx, they had the ability to set markers, and the Quincunx Pro also has the same ability, but the Quincunx Pro has the ability to have limits on it too, and limits are different than markers. I'm going to click on the limits button, and I've got my some limits up on the screen here. And the limits are something that action can be taken on, is the way I do it in the Quincunx Pro. And they are fixed. You can't change them. The only way you can change them is go to the limit settings, which is the button right below the limits. And here I can adjust them to be anything that I want, up to plus or minus 4 from the center. Let's set them at 2 and click on OK. So we've got some limits set there. And if I go to the button below the settings button, there is a button here that says when you go out of limits, pause when you go out of limits. So I'm going to click that on. It's a toggle. And I'm going to click this button off, the multi-drop button, and let's run it. And what should happen is if it gets one outside these limits, it should go into a pause mode. And there we had it, one outside the limits here, and it did go into the pause mode. And here I could single step or do anything I wanted, but what I'm going to do is try an adjustment strategy. And a standard adjustment strategy is you take where the ball is and you move the funnel the amount that the ball is away from the center. So it's at 16 and the center is 13, so you take 13 from 16, you would want to move the funnel 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. I moved it, and then I would take it off a pause and run it again. And oops, I got one out. Now I want to take it 3 back the other way. 1, 2, 3. And oops. Run it again. And so right now we're in good shape. All of this can be fun when you're doing a class, but it takes up a lot of time. And there is a way to automate it on the Quincunx Pro. I'm going to take it out of the pause mode, and up here there is an auto adjust button, and I'm going to click that on. And basically what the auto adjust is going to do is what I was doing by just clicking on the arrow keys. So let's start running it here. And now you can see that the funnel is moving. Anytime I get a ball outside of specs, it's moving the funnel, trying to keep the process centered. And anyways, let's move on. We'll go down to the bottom here, and we have a stats button. And the stats button, let me fire the machine up again. When the machine is running, it's constantly calculating the statistics. Every time a ball hits the bottom, it'll calculate the average, the standard deviation of the population, the sample standard deviation, and then it gives you a count of how many balls have run. Also, if you have the hold bar on up here, and if I take a sample, notice right now it's giving me an average, let's say of 12, it says 12.921. When I take a sample of 1, it just changed and it gave me an average of 16. That's where the ball is. It changed, I guess what I'm trying to get across is it changes the stats if you have this hold bar activated, the gate activated here. And so it will now give me the stats for what's there. And then I can do a drop. And there's one thing I didn't mention in the instructor video. Every time I hit the drop key, it takes that data that's on the bar. I've got 11, 12, 14, and 16. When I drop it, it copies that data out to the clipboard. If I bring a spreadsheet up here, I can go to a cell and I can paste the data in, and there's my 16, 12, 11, and 14. This is in run order that they hit that hold bar at. Okay, so you get that every time you click on it and drop the balls, you'll get a copy of the data out to the clipboard. Okay, let's go back. So that was the hold bar that we're talking about. The Quincunx Pro also has a sample mode on it. And let me back up to the hold bar. When you're working on the hold bar, where the focus of what you're doing is on the pins and the funnel. You know, you're calculating stats, and your focus is looking at the pins and the funnel to see if anything moved. If your focus is on the distribution that's setting at the bottom, then what you want to do is use a sample mode. So I'm going to click the sample button, and what this does is it allows me to sample this distribution down here. So every time I click the button, it'll pull a sample out, and the first sample that it pulled out happened to be in column 14, and it blanks where the ball came from, and it puts it up on the hold bar here. If I sample another one, this one came out of column 10, the fourth row up. That's where the ball came from. So as I take my sample out of there, I'm getting it. Also, your stats will change on the bar. Again, it works, the stats work anytime this bar is across here. So it's giving me the average and the standard deviation of what I see on this hold bar up here. And again, when I clear this, if I pull the spreadsheet back up, it will give me the data on the spreadsheet. It copies it to the clipboard. Let's clear this out. Okay, let's move on. If I go down to the data button, this shows me information that about what has happened that's been going on. And there's different types of information you can get. First is you get the run order of the data. So here I've run 105 balls, so I can go down and it should have all 105 balls in here, and it does. And it gives me the what I'm really interested in here is the column that ball fell in, so it tells me. So I can say, okay, I want a run order of my data. I can say copy the run order to the clipboard. And we can say, okay, here I go to the clipboard and I can paste my run order data in there. And we'll clear, and I could do a run chart if I wanted to on it. I'll go back to the data. Whoops. Back to the data here. It also gives me the shuffle order, and let me explain this. I've got it on run order. What it does, every time you click on the sample button, it takes this run order data and it creates a copy of it, and then it shuffles it just like shuffling a deck of cards. So if I go here and I click on it, it's telling me the shuffle order of where it pulled the information out. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to click on the sample button to tell it to sample, and now go back. It just shuffled the data when I hit that sample button. So if I go back here, it's telling me that the first ball that I'm looking at that I will pull out of this distribution is going to be the one that was number 47 in the run order. If I go over here to the run order, go down to 47, it came out of row 5, column 15. So row 5, column 15. Let's go back here and go to shuffle order, and it's telling me that the first piece of data, it came out of row 5, column 15. And when I move my first piece of data up there, it's column 15 and row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how what's going on underneath the hood of the program. Also, I should say this is that you can, besides copying the run order, you can copy the shuffle order out if you found that interesting. That data would go out to the clipboard. So we've got the shuffled column data out on the clipboard. Let me clear this out here. You can also get both of them, and let me clear the clipboard. So if I paste it, I'll get the run order and then the random order out. You can also get, if you go down here a bit, you can get out the hold bar. All of the data that has been across the hold bar you can get out. So I'm going to say I want a copy of the data on the hold bar, and I want to see it. I want to see the reference number, like the sample 1, sample 2, the number of pieces of data in it, the average, and the standard deviation. And you can also get median and range. You can get any of that data out you want. So I say, okay, I want to copy the hold bar out to the clipboard and then paste it. And I've only taken one set of data. It had a count of 4, had an average of 13.25, my standard deviation, and then it gives me the 4 pieces of data. So you could, if you wanted to get into doing shoe heart charts and stuff like that, this will give you the data to do it. You can also copy what was on the sample bar. So if I just got the sample bar and pasted it, and I took, again, one set of data, and it had an average of 13 and a standard deviation of 1.3. And let's clear that out. Let me close this out. And let me do one more thing here. I'm going to change the sample, and I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, clear it, and take another sample. I just want to show you what it looks like if I take multiple samples out of here, multiple subgroups of different sizes. Yeah, we should have enough Now we'll go to our data tab again, and we want to go down here. We were messing with the sample bar, so give me the sample data that's out on the clipboard. Right click, paste it in there. So now you can see I took 6 samples. 8 was the first. The second sample I only took 1. Third sample 8, 6, 15, and 11. So I have the averages, standard deviations, and again it sets it all up for doing Shewhart charts or any other type of charts you want to do. Okay, let's clear that out. Let's go back here. There is one more type of data that you can get out of here, and that is your total count data. This is your histogram data over here, and it's telling me, just a quick look here, is that I've had 10 runs of data, and the current data, let me scoot this over a bit. The current data I have, the first piece of data I have is in column 9. I have 1 piece of data. I look over here in column 9, I have 1 piece of data. Column 10, I got 5 pieces of data. Look up here at column 10, I got 5. So if I follow this down, this tells me how many is active on the screen. If I go over to the total, this tells me the total that it's run up to this point. And this will increase as you run the machine over and over again. Your total will go up. So you can average it out over time. And I'll show you what that looks like. If I go down here to the bottom button, near the bottom, there's this distribution button here. And if I click on that, that overlays that total on, puts it on the screen, overlays it on the data. Actually, a better way to look at it is clear it out and just show it. And this is the average of what's been run so far, each of the distributions that we've had. So let's see, did I forget anything? And yes, I did. The thing I forgot is this funny looking key up here. Let me clear this out. I'm going to start the machine up, and it's not in a bad position here, and I'm going to start running it, and I'm going to click this key on. I'm going to let it run for a second here, or until it gets a full distribution, and at the point where it would shut off. And what you'll see is that it will get that distribution up on the screen, and when the machine stops, it waits 5 seconds, then it'll clear that distribution out, and it will continue running. It will do another run of the machine. So you can actually do statistics over a long period of time, running it over and over again with the selection. Now it's shut off at the top. Give it about 5 seconds, and you'll see it just dropped it, and it starts all over. It clicks the run button again. So you can run this thing for hours if you wanted to, and it helps when you're trying to explain. I'll tell you where it really helps when you're trying to explain the difference between a binomial distribution and a normal distribution, and why you get some funny looking distributions out of this thing. That's what this will help you do, and this overlay key. This overlay showing the averages, that gives you something that will become more normal the more that you run it. But if you try to get a normal distribution looking at only one or two distributions, you may have problems there. It's going to be difficult sometimes to explain it to the students. So anyways, this is the Quincunx Pro, and I hope you found it interesting. If you have any comments, leave them below. I've got a link to the website where you can find the program. And thank you very much for watching.